You're watching the Stories That Scare channel. There is no turning back now.
The cameras that flew away. I hacked into a parking lot surveillance tower because I was bored. That's it. There was no noble reason, no criminal mastermind, no government assignment. I was 19 years old, sitting in my car, eating chicken nuggets, staring at one of those tall mobile surveillance towers in a shopping center parking lot, when a thought entered my head that probably should have been immediately rejected. I wonder how hard it would be to get into that thing. My name is Elliot Baines. Everybody calls me Byte, B-Y-T-E. My dad started calling me that when I was 12 because I spent more time taking computers apart than actually using them. By 19, programming was basically my second language. Some people relax by fishing. Some people watch sports. I find unsecured networks and quietly judge whoever configured them. And before anybody gets excited, I wasn't trying to steal anything. I wasn't changing camera feeds or deleting recordings. I just wanted to see if I could get in. I expected serious security, encrypted connections, multiple authentication layers, certificate verification. Maybe some proprietary nightmare that would take me a week just to understand. Nope, I didn't need a Trojan horse. Didn't need brute force. Didn't need some dramatic hacker montage with green numbers falling down my screen. Whoever configured this thing had apparently selected cybersecurity, decorative. 10 minutes later, I was in. Oh, butter my bandwidth. 4 cameras, pan, tilt, zoom, night vision, diagnostics, microphone access, signal strength, battery monitoring. I moved camera 1. The actual camera on top of the tower rotated. I laughed. Hello, beautiful. Camera 2. Moved. 3. Moved. 4. Moved. Then I noticed something strange. Internally, they weren't listed as cameras. They were Unit A, docked. Unit B, docked. Unit C, docked. Unit D, docked. Docked? I assumed it was manufacturer terminology. Then I found another command. Return to base. I stared at it. Return from where? These cameras were 30 feet in the air, attached to a mast. I dug deeper. There were directories I couldn't open. Processes running underneath the legitimate surveillance software. Encrypted traffic going somewhere else. That got my attention. This is interesting. I tried another directory. Access denied. Another. Access denied. Then a security warning appeared. I sat back. Okay. Closed everything. Disconnected. That's enough felonies for Tuesday. I finished my nuggets and went home. Honestly, I probably would have forgotten the entire thing. Except 4 days later, the surveillance tower disappeared. There was nothing supernatural about that. Those towers are rentals. They get moved. Construction sites. Shopping centers. Parking lots. Special events. I figured the contract ended and somebody hauled it somewhere else. Then 2 days later, I rode my bike to a park across from my neighborhood. I stopped so quickly I nearly introduced myself to a shrub. There it was. Same trailer, same mast, same blue flashing lights, same 4 cameras, less than half a mile from my house. No way. Now, a reasonable person would have said, interesting coincidence. Unfortunately, I was 19. I smiled. Round 2. I always carried my tablet. Programming, schoolwork, remote access, games. Basically, my entire existence lived on that thing. That night, I went back to the park. It was a little after 11. The basketball court was empty. Playground lights were off. A sprinkler clicked somewhere near the baseball field. Across the street, porch lights dotted my neighborhood. The surveillance tower flashed blue every few seconds. I sat at a picnic table maybe 70 yards away, Opened my tablet, found the network, connected. Still easy. I shook my head. You people desperately need two-factor authentication. Same system, same units, A, B, C, D. All four, docked. This time, I went deeper. I found power management routines, navigation software, GPS coordinates, altitude limits, flight logs. I stopped. Flight logs? Then, 12:03 a.m. Something changed. Undocking. I stared. Undocking? A mechanical sound came from the tower. I looked up. Camera A's housing shifted. At first, I thought something had broken. Then the entire camera separated from the mast. It dropped maybe 6 inches, stopped, hovered. My mouth opened. Oh, sweet gigabytes and gravy. 4 tiny rotors unfolded from the housing. The camera rose another 10 feet, rotated, then flew away. I looked down at my tablet. Camera A's live feed showed the park moving underneath it. Trees, walking trail, road, houses. The camera was a drone. Then, Unit B, undocked. I looked up. Second camera detached. Rotors extended. It flew east, then C, then D. Within 90 seconds, the surveillance tower had no cameras. Just 4 empty docking brackets. I walked closer and stared upward. You're not a surveillance tower. Blue light flashed. My tablet showed all 4 camera feeds moving through different neighborhoods. Oh, motherboards and mozzarella. I went home. Not because I was scared, because my Wi-Fi was better. At least that's what I told myself. From my bedroom, I followed the drones. Unit A flew over rooftops. Unit B followed a car for almost 2 miles. Unit C hovered above somebody's backyard. Unit D flew toward my neighborhood. I leaned toward the screen. Where are you going? Unit D crossed my street, slowed, hovered above a house 3 doors down. It remained there for 19 minutes, then moved. Another house. Another. These drones weren't randomly flying. They were looking for specific people. I found a hidden directory, hundreds of files, photographs, addresses, dates, thermal images, vehicle records, nighttime observations. Some people had classifications. Sunlight exposure, normal. Reflection, confirmed. Entry behavior, normal. Then I found others. Sunlight exposure, none. Reflection test, negative. Entry permission, required. I stopped. Read them again. No sunlight. Doesn't show up in reflections. Needs permission to enter. I stared at my tablet. Either I've hacked into a vampire database, I scrolled, or somebody has created the world's most dramatic HOA. Then another field appeared. Feeding activity. Confirmed. I stopped smiling. Not ho! For 2 nights, I barely slept. I traced packets, mapped connections, compared timestamps, followed the encrypted traffic. The legitimate surveillance system was real, but underneath it was an entirely separate architecture. Whoever had built these drones had disguised them as ordinary camera housings, docked during the day, flying after midnight. The tower wasn't just surveillance equipment. It was a mobile drone base, and whoever designed it knew exactly what they were doing. Eventually, I traced a repeating connection. Not perfectly, but close enough. The signal kept originating from an older gray van that appeared near the tower several nights a week. So I waited. 9:42 p.m. Van arrived. Older man stepped out. Late 60s, gray hair, glasses, khaki pants, button-down shirt. He looked like somebody's grandfather who'd come to the park because he'd heard there were ducks. He opened the back doors. Monitors, drone controllers, tools, cases. I walked toward him. "Excuse me?" He turned, looked at me, then looked at my tablet. "Your bite." I stopped. "How do you know that?" "You've been inside my network for 9 days. "Oh." He folded his arms. "I was wondering when you'd introduce yourself." I considered running. Instead, "Your cybersecurity is terrible." "I know. You should fix that." "I plan to." "When?" "Before a 19-year-old hacked it while eating chicken nuggets." I stared. "How do you know about the nuggets?" "Camera 3. Right." He held out his hand. "Walter Greenwell." "Elliot." "I know." "Bite." "I know that too." I shook his hand. This relationship feels extremely unbalanced. Then I looked inside Walter's van. Crossbows, garlic, wooden stakes, drone equipment, solar chargers, rechargeable battery packs, and 3 reusable grocery bags. I pointed. "Walter." "Yes?" "Is that garlic?" "Yes." "For vampires?" "Certified organic." I stared at him. "For vampires? You think I'm going to fight evil using garlic covered in unnecessary pesticides?" "I don't think that's the part of this situation I was questioning." Walter picked up a crossbow. "Careful. Is that seriously a crossbow?" "Yes, that's wood. Reclaimed maple." "Of course it is." "The string is plant-based." I slowly looked around his van. "You're sustainably hunting vampires." Walter looked almost offended. "We're all responsible for the planet, Bite." "Including vampires?" "Especially vampires." He placed the crossbow down. "They've been using it longer." I had absolutely no response. Then I spotted a stainless steel bottle. "What's that?" "Holy water." I stared. "You keep holy water in a reusable bottle?" "Single-use plastics don't become acceptable because you're fighting the undead." "Fair?" I pointed toward his wooden stakes. "Biodegradable?" Walter stared at me. "Bite." "Yes? They're wood." "Just checking. You're very particular." He showed me the solar array on top of his van. It charged his drone batteries. His monitoring equipment ran mostly from rechargeable cells. Even the storage containers were reusable. Walter called his operation Low-Impact Supernatural Population Management. I called it Eco-Friendly Vampire Hunting. He preferred his version. Walter had been doing this for more than 40 years. According to him, real vampires weren't walking around wearing capes. They adapted, changed names, changed cities, owned businesses, held jobs, paid taxes. Some maintained the same identity for decades before disappearing and starting over somewhere else. Technology had made that harder, so Walter adapted to thermal imaging, facial recognition, drone tracking, historical photograph comparison. He'd built software that could compare a modern face against decades of public photographs looking for people who never seemed to age. His drones conducted reflection tests through windows, tracked daytime movement, recorded invitation-dependent entry behavior. I stared at him. "So you basically developed vampire analytics." Walter considered that. "Yes. Vampire business intelligence." "Please don't." "Undead data science." "Bite." "I'm establishing terminology." Then he showed me the database and asked, "What's your address?" I told him. Walter stopped typing. "Repeat that." I did. His expression changed. "What?" He turned the laptop. "Target 117. Photograph. I recognized him instantly. "That's Harold." Walter looked at me. "You know him?" "He lives next door." Walter's face went serious. "Bite." "What?" His name is Harold Voss. Yeah. Walter opened another photograph. 1978. Harold, same face. 1994, same face. 2007, same. 2019, same. Then 2026. Harold looked exactly the same. I stared. Maybe he moisturizes. Walter didn't laugh. Right. I swallowed. Vampire. Walter nodded. My neighbor is a vampire. Yes. Harold? Yes. Harold Voss. Yes. The guy with the hydrangeas? Walter stared. I don't know about his hydrangeas. They're fantastic. Bite. He borrowed my weed eater. Focus. He brought us banana bread at Christmas. Walter stopped. You ate it? Yeah. Vampires don't eat banana bread. I stared at him. Maybe he bakes. Walter didn't respond. Oh, sweet motherboards and muffins. Then I started remembering things. Harold never came outside during the day. I'd never questioned it. He told everyone he worked nights. Blackout curtains covered every window. He mowed his lawn after sunset, collected his mail after dark. My mom had invited him inside our house 2 Christmases earlier. Invited him. And Harold had always been unusually friendly with me. I stayed awake late, coding, gaming, working on projects. Sometimes at 2 or 3 in the morning, I'd look outside and see Harold's kitchen light glowing. I always thought, cool, fellow night owl. Nope, actual night creature. Walter pulled up another file. Drone footage, 3 nights earlier, 2:14 a.m., my backyard. Harold walked through it, stopped, looked toward my house, then approached my bedroom window. He stood there, watching me sleep. My humor disappeared. How long have you been tracking him? 23 years. Then why haven't you stopped him? Because until 3 nights ago, we didn't know where he lived. What happened 3 nights ago? Walter pointed toward the screen. Harold found you. That's when I finally understood the surveillance tower. I'd thought it moved near my neighborhood because I'd hacked it. I thought somebody had discovered me. I was wrong. Walter had arranged for the tower to be relocated because his drones had finally tracked Harold. It hadn't followed me. It followed my vampire neighbor, which wasn't exactly listed under neighborhood amenities when my parents bought the house. Walter started loading equipment. Tonight, we confirm. Confirm what? That Harold is actively feeding. And then? Walter picked up the reclaimed maple crossbow. Oh, I pointed. That's the low environmental impact one? Yes. Good. I'd hate for vampire removal to interfere with our sustainability targets. Walter handed me a tablet. You're controlling the drones. Me? You've already demonstrated competency. I hacked them. Exactly. That's different. How? I was sitting down. At 12:41 a.m., all 4 drones undocked. Watching it deliberately was somehow creepier. Small rotors unfolded. Navigation lights activated. One by one, they lifted away from the tower. Unit 2 positioned itself above Harold's backyard. Unit 3 watched his front entrance. Unit 1 circled high. Unit 4 remained near my house. 12:58. Nothing. 1:16. Harold's back door opened. He stepped outside. Walter whispered through my earpiece. Track him! Harold crossed his yard, climbed the fence, then moved behind the houses. Fast. Far too fast. I pushed Drone 2 after him. I see him. Harold crossed 3 backyards in seconds, then stopped. Slowly looked upward, directly at my drone. He knows. Harold smiled, then disappeared beneath the trees. I switched feeds. 3, Nothing. 1. Nothing. 4. Found him. Harold was behind my house. My stomach dropped. Walter. I see him. Harold approached my bedroom window. Again. Except I wasn't sleeping there tonight. Walter was waiting inside. Harold stopped. Looked directly toward camera 4. His mouth moved. I zoomed. He said, "Bitey." "Oh, crispy computer chips." Then Harold turned his head. Toward the park. Toward me. Walter's voice came through my earpiece. "Run." I didn't ask questions. I made it halfway across the park before something landed behind me. I turned. Harold. Not friendly neighbor Harold. His skin looked pale. Eyes dark. Teeth visible. Elliot? Nobody called me Elliot. That somehow made everything worse. I backed away. "You could have just asked for the weed eater again." Harold lunged. Thunk! Something struck the ground between us. A wooden bolt. Harold jumped backward. Walter stepped from behind a tree. Crossbow raised. "Reclaimed maple," he said. I stared. Now? Sustainability doesn't stop during emergencies. Harold ran. Walter fired. Missed. I sent drone 2 low. Harold swatted at it. Drone 3 came behind him. 4 from his left. 1 overhead. He couldn't track all of them. I used the tablet like a flight controller. Altitude, yaw, target tracking, thermal lock. Walter moved closer. Harold knocked one of Walter's bags over. Garlic spilled across the grass. I grabbed handfuls, started throwing cloves. Harold recoiled. "It works! Of course it works!" I threw another. Then the wrapper fell from my pocket. Walter shouted, "Bitey!" "What?" "You dropped the packaging." "Harold is chasing us." "That's not an excuse to litter." I stared at him. He pointed toward it. I ran back, grabbed the wrapper. Apparently, I was being pursued by a vampire while simultaneously undergoing an environmental compliance audit. Harold lunged. Walter fired. This time, the reclaimed maple bolt caught Harold's coat and pinned him against a wooden fence. Walter moved. I grabbed the organic garlic. Harold struggled, then stopped. He looked at me. "Bite." For 1 second, he looked like Harold again. My neighbor, the guy with the hydrangeas, the banana bread. Then his face changed. Walter stepped forward. I looked away. A moment later, silence. When I looked back, Harold was gone. Only his empty coat remained against the fence. Walter removed the bolt, then pulled out his reusable stainless steel bottle, sprinkled holy water over the area. I stared at Harold's coat. "Do we recycle that?" "Dry clean first." I looked at Walter. He walked away. I still don't know whether he was joking. We thought Harold was the problem. He wasn't. As Walter started packing his equipment, one drone chimed. Multiple matches detected. I opened the neighborhood map. One red marker appeared. Then another. 3, 5, 7. Walter stepped beside me. "What are you seeing?" "I don't know yet." Another marker appeared. Then 2 more. Each represented anomalies matching Harold's profile. No daytime activity. Abnormal thermal patterns. Negative reflection tests. Invitation-dependent entry behavior. I swallowed. "Walter?" "Yes?" "I think Harold had neighbors." "We all have neighbors." "No. Neighbors like Harold." Walter leaned closer. Another marker appeared. 12. I looked down our quiet street. Porch lights, sprinklers, televisions flickering behind curtains. People I'd known for years. Cookouts, Christmas parties, borrowed tools, neighborhood garage sales, and apparently A statistically concerning percentage of our homeowners association was undead. Walter? Yes? Is 12 a lot? For one subdivision? Yeah. Extremely. Another marker appeared. 13. I pointed. That's Miss S. Henderson. You know her? She was my third-grade teacher. How old was she? Maybe 50. How old does she look now? I stopped. Maybe 50. Walter raised one eyebrow. Oh, biscuits and broadband. We didn't go after 13 vampires that night. Walter believed strongly in preparation. Apparently, that applied equally to retirement planning, camping, and vampire removal. Also, we didn't have enough garlic. You're telling me 13 vampires get another night because we're low on produce? Organic produce. Walter, standards matter. So we went home. The following morning, Walter called his garlic supplier. I wish I were making that sentence up. Over the next several months, Walter brought me into his operation. Not officially. There isn't exactly an internship application for vampire hunting. He taught me vampire behavior. I taught him cybersecurity. That was our arrangement. Walter taught me reflection testing. I taught Walter two-factor authentication. He taught me how to compare historical photographs for aging anomalies. I taught him why his password could no longer be Walter 1. You've hunted vampires for 40 years and that's your password? I remembered it. So would a moderately intelligent houseplant. I rebuilt his network. Encrypted drone communications. Changed authentication protocols. Added rotating access keys. Installed automatic intrusion alerts. Separated flight controls from the surveillance network. Walter upgraded the solar array on his van. Added higher capacity rechargeable batteries. Replaced some disposable supplies with washable containers. We were simultaneously improving cybersecurity and reducing the environmental footprint of vampire hunting. I called our system Vampire Detection 2. Walter called it Sustainable Nocturnal Threat Management. It sounded like something you'd hear during a corporate sustainability presentation. Mine sounded cooler, and yes, I changed my college major. Well, technically, I added one. I kept computer science. After everything with Harold, abandoning technology seemed ridiculous. But computer science alone suddenly felt incomplete. So I added folklore and mythology, then packed my electives with every class I could find involving supernatural traditions, historical vampire legends, and comparative mythology. My academic advisor stared at my schedule. Elliot, this is an unusual combination. Cybersecurity and vampire studies. We don't offer a degree in vampire studies. Not with that attitude. She removed her glasses. Elliot, think about the employment opportunities. What employment opportunities? I thought about Walter. The drones. 13 red dots on my neighborhood map. Emerging market. She stared at me for several seconds, then approved the schedule. Walter loved it. He called my new academic plan Interdisciplinary Threat Preparedness. I called it Making Sure My Next-Door Neighbor Can't Eat Me. Both were accurate. Harold's house eventually sold. A young couple bought it. 2 kids, golden retriever, very nice people. They were outside constantly during daylight. I checked. Several times. Walter accused me of becoming paranoid. I reminded him my previous next-door neighbor had been a vampire who watched me sleep. Walter considered that, then granted me what he called a reasonable paranoia allowance. The other 13? That's a longer story. Some disappeared once Harold was gone. A few turned out to be false positives. Apparently, vampire detection software also has bugs. And several Walter and I eventually had to visit. with organic garlic, reclaimed maple equipment, my tablet, Walter's reusable stainless steel holy water bottle. And because Walter absolutely refuses to compromise his principles, reusable grocery bags. Every once in a while, I'll be driving home late and see one of those mobile surveillance towers blinking blue in a parking lot. Most people probably don't even notice them anymore. I always do. I look toward the top and count. 1, 2, 3, 4. If all 4 cameras are there, I keep driving. But sometimes, there are only 3, and somewhere above the rooftops, camera 4 is flying through the darkness, scanning windows, checking reflections, comparing faces, looking for somebody who hasn't seen daylight in 100 years. Then my phone usually rings. Walter. Bite. Yeah? We have activity. I grab my tablet. Walter grabs the organic garlic. His solar batteries are charged. The drones are encrypted. The crossbow is reclaimed maple. And somewhere out there, a vampire is about to discover that Grandpa Van Helsing has gone digital and environmentally sustainable.